Okay, let's continue.
As you please, Chairperson. Chairperson, I've explained to Mr. Montana what I am going to do now is, in respect of each of the properties, forget the report, because I understand Mr. Montana's concerns about the report. We just want to look at the supporting documents in respect of each.
Yeah, no, that's fine. In the meantime, did you get those annexures that we talked about, Mr. Montana?
Chair,
Did
I
you
have
get
them,
them during lunch?
Chair, I've received everything, but I've since been told that I should submit them after this when I meet with Ms. Rangata.
What's the position, Mr. Soni? Do you know what's happening in regard to this particular document, as opposed to in regard to the affidavit? Because I thought that the ones that are mentioned in the document that he read into the record, we could get those admitted together with admitted so that we are done with that part.
That, yes.
Yeah, and then the rest they can deal with in terms of the process.
Yes. I wasn't aware that there was that distinction, Chairperson. So it's not something I...
Well, during the lunch, before lunch, you remember, before he read into the record,
Yes.
I raised the issue. I said something along the lines that hopefully there are no annexures relevant to this.
Yes, yes.
I think Mr. Montana, I got the impression he was nodding at the time, but after I read it, I saw that there were references to annexures.
Yes.
So when we came back from the adjournment, I said I noticed that there are two references or so to annexures. And I think he said during lunch he could bring them, or
Yes.
after lunch or something. So what I had in mind is that those that are referred to here,
Yes.
those could be handed up. And all the others that relate to the rest of the affidavit can be dealt with in terms of
Yes.
the process that has previously been agreed. That was my understanding was.
I accept that, Chairperson. It's not something I had
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
about independently.
Yes, simply
Just-
because we are already admitting this.
No, sure.
Therefore, whatever is referred to here, we should try and admit if we can,
Yes.
and so that this is complete.
Because may I suggest a way forward, and that is
Or we can deal with it during the tea
deal with
break.
this, and then as soon as
Yeah,
the
done.
questioning is finished on this,
Yeah.
Mr. Montana can hand those to Mr. Montana.
Well, it's not a question of him handing them to her, the annexures that relate to this document. He can hand them to you. I want them to be handed up. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So those should not be subject to that process that has been going on. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So, but what we can do is let's continue either when you are done or during the tea break.
Yes.
Then it can be attended to. Okay, all right.
Mr. Montana, we would be able to get, they are at the end of your affidavit, so we'll be able to take them out as a part, those annexes.
No, Chair, I've got everything that here. I just asked the team at lunchtime in line with your instruction, but they said, no, it's fine, we'll deal with it later. So I just put them back safely in the car, Chair.
No,
but
that's fine.
I'll give them to the
It
team
can be
today.
sorted out, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Now, Mr. Montana, in regard to the Parkwood property, you will see that there are certain annexures referred to in Annexure OR1 to Mr. Ollerman's affidavit. I just want to refer to the annexures. Annexure PP1 is a series of emails, and I just want to refer you to two emails. You could please turn to page 44 and 45. You'll see at the bottom of page 44, there's an email from you dated the 21st of August 2012. Do you see that? Right at the bottom, at page 44.
I'm on page 45, sorry, sir.
Or the one
I'm in
dated
Page
21
44, yeah, I see that.
Yes,
August 2012.
2012, yes.
Okay, all right.
And you'll see on the next page, at page 45, it's addressed to Miss Willis, Ursula Willis, who I understand was your personal banker. Is that correct? Sorry, Ms. Montana. Is
That's correct, yeah, sorry.
And then you'll see at page 45, in the second paragraph, you say to her, would you be so kind and also send me latest updates or rather balances on each of the properties? This is important in determining the properties to be disposed of under current economic concerns. And then you'll see her reply.
Hang on, Mr. Soni. It will be convenient as we deal with each email just to state who it is from, who it is to, what date it is,
Yes.
what the subject matter is, if possible, before reading. That will just help whoever reads the
Is
transcript.
reading, yes,
Yeah.
as you please, Chairperson.
So the one you are looking at now is at page 45. Is it the one that says, dear, is it Ursula?
Ursula, yes.
Oh, how do you pronounce that?
Ursula.
Huh?
Ursula.
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 Okay, all right. Okay, that's the one you are talking about, yeah.
That is the one.
Okay, all right. And you have
sorry?
just read the second of two paragraphs in the email. Yeah,
That is so, Chairperson.
okay.
Then, Mr. Montana, can I ask you to turn to page 42?
At this stage, Mr. Soni, we're not dealing with any specific property. Or
We're
are
dealing
we
with
not?
Parkwood.
Oh, that's
I'm
I
going
want
to yes,
Parkwood.
Parkwood.
Okay, all right. Okay, continue.
At the bottom of page 42, you'll see there's an email from Ursula Willis, also dated the 21st of August, about 45 minutes after your email to her, and it's addressed to you. Is that correct, Mr. Montana?
Yeah, I see that, Chair, thank you.
Okay, and then if you look at page 43...
I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
a letter from, that's an email from
Ursula
Ursula
Willis.
Willis, dated 30 October 2012.
No, right at the bottom, Chairperson, 21st August.
Or are you going back to the one we dealt with earlier?
No,
Or is it
this
another
is
one?
the reply at page 42.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Oh, at page 42.
Yes, right at the bottom,
Yes,
Chairperson,
okay.
you'll see it's sent 21st of August 2012 at
Yes.
9:43 p.m.
And the subject is private
Private one,
security
security held.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Yeah, you can continue.
And this is in answer to your email, Mr. Montana, and about in the middle of the page, next to the number 3, it's dealing with IRF 359 Parkwood, Johannesburg. You accept that?
I accept the Chair.
And she gives the address as 10 Newport Road. That was the address of the Parkwood property. That's
That's
correct. And then she says the valuation amount is 3.5 million rand.
Is that in page 42?
Yes. It's just under the physical address. You'll see valuation amount, 3.5 million rand.
That's correct.
Right. And then, of course, she reflects, as per your request, she reflects the amount of the bond. I think it's between, for 2 million rand. Same, just under the valuation amount.
I'm struggling to see where you are, Mr. Sonny.
Oh,
Are you
sorry.
still at page 42?
No, 43, Chairperson. This is the substance of the email from Ms. Willis to Mr. Montana.
Okay.
Right at the top, she says, "Hi, Lucky. Here is the information you requested."
Yes, I can see that.
And then she deals with the information in regard to one of the properties in Waterkloof, or two of the properties in Waterkloof, and in number 3, she deals with IRF 359 Parkwood.
Oh, okay. So I was looking for a sentence that says something like "here is" or something like that.
no,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, that
Yeah,
was
that's right at the top.
okay. The valuation amount 3.5 million. Right.
That is so.
A bond amount is 2 million. Is that right? The bond was 2 million.
2 million, yes. That's correct, Mr.
Is that
Montana.
correct?
No, I'm happy with this, Mr.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, then I just want to ask you then to look at PP2, which is page 40, starts at page 46. This is the offer by Precise Trade. Well, perhaps I should just describe what the document is. The title of the document is Offer to Purchase, full title. Is that correct, at page 46?
I see the chair.
And it's a document which is an offer by Precise Trade to purchase from you the property which is 10 Newport Road, Parkwood. And that you'll find at page, paragraph 1.2. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chair.
Right. And then it's the terms of the agreement are the purchase price is 6.8 million rand. That's what you've said already. And the payment was going to be by way of a deposit of 2.5 million rand to be paid within 30 days. That's at paragraph 2.2. And at 2.3, the balance of the purchase price to be paid to Loopsche van Walt Incorporated trust account within 90 days after the signature. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay. And they say at paragraph 2.4, Loopsche van der Walt Incorporated will issue acceptable guarantees against this purchase price. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chair.
Now, Loopsche van der Walt is obviously Mr. van der Walt's legal firm. I mean, he was a partner in
He was
that
a partner
legal
indeed.
firm.
He was a partner.
Now, can I just ask you quickly, I want to come back to PP2, but I just want to get this over with. If you look at PP3, which is at page 53, starts at page 53, this is the deed of transfer in respect to that property. Is that correct? Page 53, Mr. Montana. And you'll see right in the middle of that page, it said deed of transfer.
Yeah.
All right. And you'll see at page 56, the property was transferred on the 20th of February 2015.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Now, Mr. van der Walt has given an explanation of the payments made in regard to this property. It's contained in Mr. Loopsche's affidavit. Can I ask you then to please turn to bundle G, Annexure SS 16, which is Mr. Loopsche's affidavit. And can I ask you to please look at page 198? This is the black numbers now, page 198.
And 98.
198.
I think the 198 on my one is written by hand.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So look for one that's written by hand, Mr. Montana.
Have you got it?
Yeah, is this the one with the amounts in Afrikaans?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's dated the 28th of January
I've
2016.
got it here.
I'll just tell you what this is. This is the evidence given by Mr. Loubser. He says after articles were written about the property deals, they asked Mr. van der Walt certain questions about the deals, and he wrote to them, this is a second letter he wrote to them on the 28th of January, explaining all the transfers or all the payments that were made in respect of the different properties. We are only dealing with 4 of them. Now, at paragraph 2.2 of page 198 of the letter of the 28th of January, he says in his letter that the purchase price of 6.8 million rand, this is in respect of Parkwood property, was paid as follows, and he sets out the date of payment and the amount on each of the amounts paid on each of those dates. Now, can I ask? Well, can I also
what
ask?
page is that?
Sorry, it's still page 198,
You're still in 198.
paragraph 2.2.
Yeah.
He says,
1 second. Mr. Montana, how is your Afrikaans?
Not
It's good enough for this.
Praat Kombees Afrikaans.
Okay.
So particularly, I see here, I think it would be, but I trust the commission's president. I've read his affidavit,
Yeah.
but not this particular letter.
Oh.
So I don't know. I don't know, but it's fine, Chair.
Okay, I think Mr. Soni will tell
I'll
you
just- yes.
what it says, but I think what the legal team should obtain is an English translation
we will.
of the letter.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So it says at paragraph 2.2, the purchase price of 6.8 million rand was paid as follows. And then then he itemizes each payment. Now, I want you, Mr. Montana, if you could please assist as well. If you could keep your hand on that page, but also turn to page 190. Earlier, page 190. And that is, I've got to tell you again, that is the evidence given by Mr. Loubser, that this is one of the documents that Mr. van der Walt handed to him at the time he wrote the letter. And this, the document at page 190, Mr. van der Walt said, was the bank account, the transaction history of the bank account relating to Precise Trades property deals. You understand that that's what it is?
Well, I hear, Chair.
Yes. Well, that's the evidence. It's not.
I accept that, yeah.
Now, why I want you to look at that is I want us to compare what is said by Mr. in that letter with entries in the bank account. So if you look at 2.2.1, he says on the 18th of June 2014, an amount of 2,250,000 rand was paid.
Where, are you still on 190?
Sorry, on 198.
On 198, yeah.
All right, so we can just concentrate on that. Now, if we look at an entry in the bank account, which is at page one.
Hang on, I was also still trying to go back to 198. Which item?
2.1, Chairperson. The 18th of June,
Okay, all right.
2014.
Yes.
And the amount reflected as being paid is 2.25 million.
Yes.
All right. Now, Mr. Montana, Chairperson, can I ask now, we turn to page 190, and you'll see the third entry on the bank account is for the 18th of June 2014, and it's reflected as a withdrawal from Precise or by Precise Rian loan. You see that, Mr. Montana? The third entry on page 190, Chairperson.
I'm on 190, Chair.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You see it says withdrawal, value date 18th June, and precise stroke Rian loan. That's the description given to that entry. Do you see that?
Yes, I see that.
Right. And the amount there is 2.25 million rand. Mr. Montana? At page 190.
So I see the, I think that about 4. I see 350, 400 linked to Montana. But I see at the bottom 2.250. I see that here, 18th of June.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We're going to deal with each of them.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
All right. And according to Mr. Loach, the word guarantee was written by Mr. van der Walt at the time the document was given to Mr. Loach.
But this, so this is a guarantee given to the bank.
No. This is a debit in the account. I'm just trying to draw a link between what he says at page 198 and what is reflected in the
In the
bank
statement,
account.
yeah. Okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying he says that amount was paid on the 18th of June, and when you look at the account, you'll see that that amount was debited to the precise trade account on that day. Okay. I just want to alert you to the two earlier entries of the 18th of June. There's a deposit. The first entry is a deposit of 1.85 million rand. Do you see that?
I see that.
And then there's another deposit of 4 million rand. And in his handwriting, Mr. van der Walt writes TMM loan.
Yeah.
Then, if you look at, you go back to page 198,
Yeah.
you'll see 2.2.2 on the 18th of July 2014. He says a payment of 110,800 rand was made to you. See that?
Yeah.
And then you'll see that when you look at page 190, on the 18th of July, there's a withdrawal of 110,800, and it's marked Montana payment. Okay. Now, I suppose I should ask you with regard to each one. The 2.25 million rand, is that a payment that was made to you on the day reflected?
No, Chair. I suspect, Chair, I don't know, it was not made to me, but when I see that, I think it's linked to him settling the bond with ABSA for that amount, because that was the bond amount that I have. So when he has bought the property, the first payment must go to the bank. So I think that's what it reflects. Chair.
No, I understand. I understand. All right, so the first payment was made, you accept the first payment would have been made in respect of the property, but it was not made to you. And when you put the full picture, or taking the full picture into account, you think it was a payment made
Chair,
to the bank?
look, Chair, I think this is consistent with my statement that I've made. But I wouldn't know what is because when I saw the affidavit and made contact with Rian, I said, what is this? And he says, no, but these are my statements when I was using the money around. But that is, he's the one who must come and account to about how he used the money as precise trade. But when I look at the amount of 2250, I think let's go back to the email from Ashla Willis. I don't know how much did they say they'll call, but
You recall it was 2 million.
2
But
million.
it
Yeah,
may, I
okay.
mean, that was a year earlier,
That
so
was
it
a
may
year
have gone
earlier.
to.
Okay.
But, Ms. Montana, all I want us to agree on is that Mr. van der Walt says that the payment was made, that payment was made in respect of the Parkwood property. I accept that you say it was not made to you, so we must accept that it would have been made to the bank.
It should have been made to the bank. Chair, the risk, of course, of doing that, I think Mr. Soni let's continue taking me through.
Yeah.
But I'm being asked about the financial statements of another company, not about my. I think it would have been good if we had my own bank statements.
Yes.
Because I think if you look at the 6.8, the bulk of the money didn't even come to my account.
Yeah.
As I explained earlier, I said pay there,
Yeah.
pay there, pay there, but you would record it as a thing.
Yeah.
How you got the money or move, shift monies around, I wouldn't have the details yet. So
No, that's fine.
I think that, so I think let's go through them as you say.
No, sure.
But
Yes.
I'm
Where
not.
you are able to say something, you will say. Where you are not able, you
Absolutely,
are
Chair.
not able.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you're disputing a particular payment, place that on record.
No, on this one, Chair, I can't because it's not my
Yeah.
statements. I don't know them.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
seeing them as they're tabled here.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Then on the 2.2.3, he says, same on the 18th of July 2014, a payment of 350,000 Rand was made. And if you look at page 190, a withdrawal of that amount is made, and he marks it Montana payment.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
All right. Then at 2.2.4, on the 24th
So
of...
I guess, I'm sorry, Mr. Soni.
Yes.
I guess the point you are making, or part of the point you are making, Mr. Montana, is where the statement might be saying Montana payment, don't take that as if it means I was paid that amount. You would accept that might have been paid in respect of that transaction, but you are making the point that it didn't come to
No, Chair, some of them may not have come to me.
you. Yeah.
Particularly the big amounts. I think that's
Yes.
when he was settling the banks and all
Yeah,
of those things.
yeah.
So it is his, you can see that he's written a lot of notes.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he's dealing with, in that statement, he's dealing with a lot of other,
Yeah.
of other companies. So,
No, that's fine.
so
Yeah.
but I'll take it, Chair, that
Yes.
he's accounting for the 600 and,
Yeah.
for the 6.8 million rands when he bought the properties from me. Yeah.
Okay.
Then, 2.2.4, sorry, have we dealt with 2.2.3? That's the 18th of July, that's 350,000. Then you'll see on the 24th of July, he says 400,000, and there's a withdrawal of 400,000, and it's marked TLM. Those are your initials, is that correct?
So this one, it says TLM, no longer Montana. So how do you know, Chair, it's Montana?
Yeah, well, unless there was an indication in the evidence that PLM was understood or referred to, was meant to be his abbreviation, his initials. What did Mr. van der Waal's partner say about it?
What we need to look at, Chairperson, is two things. What he says in his letter,
yes,
400,000 rand,
yes,
on the 24th of July.
Yes.
And then on the 24th of July, there's a withdrawal of 400,000 rand.
Okay, no, I think Mr. Montana, what Mr. Soni is saying is what the items we are looking at 190 that he points out, we must understand them in the context of the letter.
No, Chair, I accept that fully.
Yes.
I accept that fully, Chair. I think the only problem that I have, and I think the numbers are very clear there.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. He was explaining to his partners.
Yes.
Now, Rian and I had a much broader relationship. We're dealing with other things. And you'll see in my annexure that I attached where we ended up a relationship. He said to me, you are owing me 1.3 million. The balance between the two of us is 1.3 million rand. And when I calculate the 1.3 million rand, he got it from the payments that were, which is outside of the thing. So I think that unless if he's here, or a depose of an affidavit to say, I paid that amount, I paid that. Because then if, and that's why I'm saying the annexure, he says to me when we end the relationship, he says, the payments that I've paid you in excess of 1.3, so you must pay it back to me. Of course, at the end, we realized that no, I've also put money, and it didn't. So I'm not even questioning the payments that he's made.
Yeah.
And in some instances, they're recorded as Montana.
Yeah.
But we may say, for example, I'll say, pay someone for this work. Or I remember when he bought the Parkwood property, there were certain things that were not done. And I said, no, you can draw them from the 6.8, because then you pay from there. You'd record that as Montana's fee, but doesn't mean, unfortunately, my accounts have been shut down, Chair, and I don't know if we can get the records, because they will tell you, and you probably will see that the bulk of those amounts didn't even go me. So we may have had the discussion and say, put that money there, okay? But we don't know. So he may also have another possibility of explanation. Would have been that after his partners questioned him, he then went to the statement and then put everything under the Parkwood property and explain it as such. So that's a possibility. But again, I can't speak on his behalf. The issues that we had, the relationship with Rian van der Waal, were involved in many developments or transactions. And so I think I would not question whether the numbers, it's not my account, I don't know.
So the numbers you don't question, but the relationship between each payment and, for example, the Parkwood property, that you have no problem with that.
No, Chair, the Parkwood property, he paid me 6.8 million.
Yes.
But that money, as I said, he didn't come to me in that way. So what happened is that I said, no, we have to settle the bank first.
Yeah.
So the bank was paid 2 plus, and that is what I'm saying, I assume the 2.250.
Yeah.
You know, Chair, in fact, in fact, I think the 2.250 may be linked to the Waterkloof property after the sale. So that is why I don't see the 2 million where you are settling the bank.
Okay,
So I think, and I'm not sure how many accounts he was using and all of those things. But I assume that the 2.25, if you look at the price of the property in Waterkloof, the amounts correlate.
okay,
Remember I said earlier on, pay that property after, from the proceeds of the sale. And there are emails, Chair, by the way, that Rian and I has been exchanging.
yeah,
And these emails were available. I'm surprised that they're not included, because they would have given a proper context of each payment and what happened to the proceeds of 6.8 million rand. So it didn't come to me. He paid various entities and people
Yes.
in that process.
But you have got those emails or you don't have any?
No, I don't have, Chair. Remember
Oh.
those emails, I wrote them when I was still at PRASA.
Oh,
But the investigators, Chair, they got those emails. And you know what happened? Then they went on cherry picking. So all my emails at PRASA were downloaded. And what has happened, Chair, is that they were downloaded by Werksmans. From Werksmans, of course, later on they moved to the commission through Mr. Oleman's report. But you can see, Chair, that my emails in their entirety are not even provided, because they'll indicate. And that is why when I look at my emails with Rian, I wrote them when I was still working for PRASA. And I said the relationship was not a secret, because when I was being investigated, they downloaded the emails. But what cleverly has been done here is to select what portray a particular narrative and leave others that do not. But I think I agree with Mr. Soni's method, where he says there was testimony, a partner came and he said, here's a letter. But also I cannot understand, Chair, that if I had a relationship with Precise, okay, I understand when the partners ask him about the activities of the firm, of their law firm. But if Precise, which they say we didn't have control over, we didn't even know about it. So maybe he was trying to give them assurance, I don't know. But I think some of them do not correlate to me, Chair. But if we ask ABSA, Chair, I was banking with ABSA.
yeah,
Surely ABSA, I was told,
Yeah.
I read the statement in the Sunday Times, by the way, Mr. Soni, where the commission said it was going to subpoena my bank statement. And I think, Chair, we could go back to that time.
When was that?
It was in the Sunday Times, Chair.
This weekend?
No, not I think
Sometime back.
it was early in the year. And I said I welcome the opportunity for the commission to subpoena these bank statements and look at that. Because then we can do a three-way exercise. What Van der Walt says, what this letter says, and what my bank accounts are telling us, Chair.
Yeah.
And I would give permission to
Yeah.
the commission to ask for those statements from ABSA.
Yeah.
They should still have my statement, Chair.
Yeah,
I don't have access to them.
yeah. Mr. Soni,
Chairperson, let me just say, I know nothing about, there are two things, and I think I
Yeah.
must set the record straight. Mr. Montana says the investigators. I think he must make a distinction between the Commission's investigators and the investigators who conducted the investigation process. This is in fairness to the Commission. That's the first thing I think when he's talking about investigators. But the second thing is, Chairperson, we didn't get anything from Werksmans. We got all the information contained in here tells you what the source is. The source is the Siangena affidavit PRASA's affidavit in the Siangena matter and Siangena's response. We didn't get anything from Werksmans. So to the extent that Mr. Montana thinks we may have left out things, give him the assurance that everything that was given to us of relevance was included, but we didn't have any dealings with that. And we couldn't, for one reason, Chairperson. Complaints had been made against Werksmans.
yeah, okay.
Chair, no, I don't want to dispute what Mr. Soni is saying. I don't have a problem with it. I'm glad that you are saying there's that relationship. There's not that, there's the distinction. But Chair, let me tell you, when these documents, when the commission asked for the documents,
Chairperson, sorry.
Sorry.
There seems to be a technical problem, and I've been asked if we could have 5 minutes for them to attend to it. Mr. Montana, it's
Sure,
not
sure.
me.
Yeah.
I just want everything to be recorded.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a 5 minutes adjournment then, so that they can deal with the technical problem. We adjourn.
Sorry, Mr. Montana, it's not intended. relevant, we just look
Just
at
that
that
particular
issue.
one,
Yes.
yeah.
No, that I put separately with the annex chart, so I think it will be
Yes.
easy
Okay, no, that's
to present with them during the break, Chair.
That's fine. We're at 3:15. There is the question of obtaining them. There is the question of reading them. What's your suggestion, Mr.? We,
Chairperson, can I make the suggestion? We are partly finished with with Parkwood.
Yeah.
And can we make a decision after that as to
yeah.
when we should, unless you want to decide?
No. Do you suggest we have the break now
And
to
get
obtain
this?
that, and
Yes.
then we resume? How much break are we talking about?
Well, how long will it
15,
take
20
you
minutes,
to get
15.
No, Chair, my car is parked outside,
Yeah.
I can get it quickly.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll adjourn, and let's say 15 minutes for now.
As you please.
And if that's not enough, we'll take it from there.
Yes.
Okay, we adjourn. Yes, Mr. Soni.
As you please, Chairperson. Chairperson, in light of your suggestion, Mr. Montana has now brought the annexures to the document that we dealt with this morning, that's SS18B.
Yes,
There are about 15 or 20 of them.
yes. But in the document, is there a reference to, are there references to so many? I thought it was a few in the document. In the document itself, the references to annexures.
Yes, they all, so but for example, in what he refers to as TLM 165, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Or maybe let me ask him, Mr. Montana. I thought it was only a few that were referred to in this document.
No, Chair, indeed, yeah. That is why it's a small thing, but there are others where you may find that in one subject there are 3 letters. For example, letters from Ms. Ashla Willis from APSA. So those will be put, let's say, under 162. But you'll see that I'll indicate that there are about 3 documents there. But these are mainly letters or documents confirming, showing a bond. So it's not. It's a small purchase. It correlates exactly with the annexures in the document to admit a Chair.
As long as when one reads this and wants to find the annexure referred to here, one will find there. That's the important thing.
They are marked.
They are marked.
So that difficulty is out now.
Okay.
They all correlate, Chair, and I think this is based on the guidance from the team. I met with them, we did that in that way. So
Okay.
each number in that copy of that affidavit correlates to the annexure,
yeah.
corresponds, Chair. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine. Then maybe we should deal with that formality and get it out of the way
Yes.
of having them admitted.
Yes.
Is that fine, Mr. Son?
As you please, Chairperson, we'll hand this to you, and then we will make copies. We don't have copies, obviously.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not doing, you don't have copies at the moment yourselves?
No.
Okay. But you would need to, you may need to ask him questions about the annexures, isn't it?
Yes.
But you would only know that once we have...
Once we've looked at it.
Yeah. Then maybe there is no... We can have them handed up, and then you can make copies in due course.
In due course.
Yeah.
Yes. But at least they are now part of the record.
Yeah, let's get the formalities out
Yes.
of the way. I'm thinking that the proper way to do it, because this is not an affidavit,
No.
this is to admit them one by one.
As you please.
Yeah, to say
Yes.
reference is made to, in paragraph so and so, to annexure whatever.
Yes.
And then let him confirm that that's the annexure
Yes.
for that is referred
Absolutely.
to, and we admit them
Yes.
one by one like that.
Listen, the other issue, and we'll do that in a moment, but I just wanted to get through the formalities. The other issue you will remember is the Siangena, Mr. Montana's affidavit in
yes.
Siangena.
Yeah,
Quite a big document with many annexures, so it is this file.
yes,
So
yeah.
that too
That would need, yeah, it would need some reading.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, well, why don't we get this out of the way?
Absolutely.
And then talk about what should
About-
happen
yes.
with that, yeah.
Chairperson, you will see in SS 18B at paragraph 1470 on page 312 at the bottom, there is a reference to annexure TLM 160.
Yes, I can see that.
Perhaps I should give this pile to Mr. Montana.
Montana,
and then,
yes,
We
yes.
can hand them up one by one, Chair.
Yeah. Oh, because there are no copies.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Montana, the second page of your document, paragraph 1470, TLM 160 is supposed to be a copy of an email from Mr. Rian van der Walt terminating the relationship between the two of you. Have you got that email? Okay, is it marked TLM 160?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I think that we may have to admit them, Mr. Soni, as
As you please.
exhibit SS 18B1, B2, B3, so it's going to be easier that way. So that will be this email from Mr. Rian van der Walt to Mr. Lucky Montana dated 29 October 2015 will be admitted and marked as exhibit SS 18B1.
As you please.
It's a document that has got 2 pages. Okay, and then
Then, Chairperson, at the
Yes.
bottom on page 314, at paragraph 1480, there is a reference to TLM 161.
have you got that, Mr. Montana?
I've got that, Chair.
Yes, thank you. Registrar, you might have to wait here and not go to your seat until we are done with this process.
And that will be 18B2. This is 18B2.
Yes. The statement by Mr. Montana dated 8 February 2016, which is marked TLM. You see there's TLM 14 and TLM 16 or 161. That will cause some confusion, and maybe I think I should cross out the TLM 14 for purposes of this one, so that we use TLM 161. Mr. Montana?
I can hear you. I'm looking at 1480.
Yes, 1480 says TLM 161.
That's correct, Chair.
I've got, in this document that I've been given, I've got TLM 161. That's written in the middle of the page, first page.
That's correct.
But at the corner of the same page, top corner, it's written with a marker, TLM 14 and S16. I'm saying the two may cause confusion. So I propose to cross out the one in the corner.
Yeah, that's correct, Chair. Thank you.
So that there is no confusion. But otherwise, therefore, this statement of 8 February 2016 by Mr. Montana on allegations of corruption are leveled against him by PRASA Chairman Mr. Popo Molefe will be admitted and marked as Exhibit SS 18B2. The statement has got No, I think the pages are not paginated. But I think I will cross out these numbers written with a marker so that they don't cause confusion on all the pages here.
I pulled them from another affidavit, Chair. That is why you have that problem.
Yes, no, I understand. I understand. I just want to make sure. Okay, that's the second document.
On page 315, paragraph 1483, there is a reference to TLM 162. Mr. Montana, you are handing that up now.
162.
Yes, that it will be necessary just to say that so that it goes into the transcript, Mr. Montana, so that it goes into the transcript that you are now handing it up. So saying that will be
Those are the
important.
formalities.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Okay, now,
That will be SS 18 B3, Chairperson.
the letter dated 31 August 2009 addressed to Mr. G.L. Montana. I'm looking for the end of the letter, Mr. Montana. The last page here can't be the last page because it ends with "and."
That is 162, Chair.
That is TLM 162. Is that how it's supposed to be?
It should be, Chair. I think the big issue there is that's the ABSA private one, Chair, 162, isn't it?
162.
Yeah, it should be a full document, Chair. It doesn't.
You see at the beginning, it's like a letter. It's addressed to you, and it says, "Dear Mr. Montana," but it looks like quite a long letter. But it's just that the pages are not numbered at the bottom. But it's not complete. It ends with 12.2.3 at the bottom. That's a paragraph, and with the number that appears at the top corner is 509. But I don't know where it comes from. Who's the author?
No, this comes from the bank, Chair. That's a letter summarizing the. If you look
The
in that
terms.
paragraph, yeah, that's a letter from the bank,
Yes.
and that's what I have, Chair. So I'm not sure if.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It may be that whatever we don't have is not material. We don't know. But I wanted to make sure that
That's correct, Chair.
that you understand that the
The first 4 or 5 pages summarizes the facility from the bank, Chair.
Yes.
And I think that's what is material for the commission.
Okay, all right. So that letter will be admitted as Exhibit SS 18B3. Yeah, I've got that.
And for the record, Mr. Montana, you confirm that the letter on the record is incomplete. It's just for...
No, I confirm that, Chair.
Yes, yeah, okay. Maybe I can just mention that it's how many pages that we've got? 1, 2, 3, 7. It's 7 pages. Okay, let's continue.
And then on the very next paragraph on the same page, Chairperson, at 148, paragraph 1484, there is a reference to TLM 163.
Yes,
This is an email, as I understand.
yes.
Will you hand that in?
Have you got that, Mr. Montana?
There's an email calculating the repayments to the bank, Chair, of the
Okay,
facility.
This is an email from
Ashla Willis.
Ashla
Willis.
Ashla Willis, addressed to Mr. Montana, dated 13 August 2009 at 4:55 p.m., and it will be admitted as exhibit
SS 18B40.
as exhibit SS 18B4.
As
Okay. Next.
The next one, Chairperson, is on the next page at paragraph 1486, and that is annexure TLM4. It's a letter from APSA, and you're handing that up as TLM 164, Mr. Montana.
That's correct, Chair.
And Chairperson, that should be admitted as SS 18B5.
This is a letter from APSA addressed to Mr. Montana and is dated 19 December 2013. It will be admitted as exhibit SS 18B5. Okay. Yeah.
Are those all the annexes?
No, Chair, I think we are continuing in page, to continue the properties, we are going to page 321 of the affidavit, in that document, Chair. I think we are actually the next page.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Page 322, Chair,
Yes,
paragraph 1518.
yes, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
And there, Mr. Montana, you're handing up a joint venture agreement between Midtown Brace and I take it yourself as TLM 165A28.
That's correct, Chair. I'm just removing the divider, Chair, for you. I'm just removing the dividers quickly.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's fine, that's fine.
So you're handing that up as TLM 165A28.
To H indeed.
Mr. Montana. That is correct, isn't it?
That's correct. Sorry, Mr. Soni. That's correct.
Isn't that, with respect, should be admitted as SS 18B6.
Okay. It's an agreement, and I see there are letters, but they are all It's A to H in terms of,
A to H share. They are also all under that agreement with Midtown Brace for the Hurlingham property chair.
yes, okay. So exhibit SS18B6 would be the agreement together with the documents attached to it.
That's correct.
Is that
Chair.
right? Okay. And the memorandum of agreement between Midtown Brace Pt2 Limited and Lucky Montana will, together with the documents attached to it, be admitted as Exhibit SS18B6. Okay. Does that conclude this part?
That concludes the.
On the properties, yes.
Yeah, on the properties, yeah. Okay, no, that's fine. I wonder, Mr. Sony, whether in terms of the agreement, I see that in the document, he has got A to H. I wonder whether we should say 6.1, 6.2, so that for each document, so that the memorandum of agreement, I'm revising what I said earlier on, will be Exhibit SS18B 6.1. Okay. And then let me see. The letter and annexures that come after the agreement will be Exhibit SS18B 6.2. Yeah. And then the document that comes after that will be Exhibit SS18B 6.3. And then the letter addressed addressed to Saint Attorneys by Lobsha van der Vaart Incorporated will be, which is dated 23 April 2018, will be marked as Exhibit SS18B 6.4. Is that right? And then the memorandum of agreement, joint venture, F70 Hurlingham, Township, Johannesburg, will be marked as Exhibit SS18B 6.5. And then the letter from Saint Attorneys dated 9 March 2018 is and addressed to Lobsha van der Vaart Incorporated will be admitted, will be marked as Exhibit SS18B 6.6. And then the combined summons in the case between Pt2 Limited versus Montana, case number 34349/19, will be marked as Exhibit SS18B 6.7. Okay. Okay, that's done. Okay. As far as the properties, we've got all of that. So you will make copies for yourselves and so on. Okay. Now we need to talk about the affidavit.
Yes,
Yes. Do you recall how long the affidavit on its own is, Mr. Montana? More or less?
I'll check it now.
Sorry, Chair, I can't recall. It was a
Can't
long
recall.
it was a long affidavit.
Yeah, okay.
The affidavit is around 49 pages.
Does that sound right, more or less, Mr. Montana? You
I
can't
thought-
remember.
No, Chair, I think I thought that the entire file was the affidavit. No,
No, he is excluding annexures for
annexures.
now.
Okay, that should be correct.
It
Chair.
should be correct, yeah. Okay. I guess you can't deal with that without having read it first, yeah. So should we not do this? That to the extent that there may be I know that properties was your last topic, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. It seems to me that on properties you may have to read that first before you can proceed in any effective way. If that is correct, it may be that one, you can't deal with that today. Yeah. But two, it may be that we can do one of two things. Mr. Montana, during the days that you have been questioned, I got the impression sometimes that some of your answers might not have been full because you intended to, or you were hoping to refer to your affidavit. I'm not sure. What I'm looking at is we are tight for time in terms of finishing. And I was thinking that to the extent that there may be some issues that you have been asked about where you felt your answers might not have been full, you wanted to do that, maybe we could use this opportunity for you to do that, because so that what would remain is simply the issue of properties. And on the issue of properties, if it is possible to be ready tomorrow, we could proceed tomorrow. We fortunately can have time tomorrow. In my schedule of the hearings, I remember there was the issue of Ms. Ngoye coming back and maybe Mr. Olele. So the idea was that if you were to finish your evidence today, depending what time you finished, then Ms. Ngoye and maybe Mr. Holele could take the witness stand and deal with some of the issues we have raised. If they didn't deal with them today, they could deal with them tomorrow. I think they are available from what I've been told. But but if you are able to deal with whatever you think you haven't been had fully because you, for whatever reason, you could deal with those and we finish that part. If you can't do that now, and Ms. Ngoye or Ms. Holele, Mr. Holele, or one of them is available, we could slot them in this afternoon, and then tomorrow you could then deal with whatever is left plus the properties. So I don't know from your side, Mr. Soni, have you got any particular preference?
Chairperson, as I understand it, and it may have been a miscalculation on our part, we indicated to Ms. Ngoyi and Mr. Holele, based on what had happened just before lunch, that we would be busy with Mr. Montana for the rest of the day, and in a sense we released him from any commitment today.
Okay, no, that's fine. Well, then if Mr. Montana has some issues that he has been asked about over since he started appearing, that he would like to, where he would like to supplement his answers, or he can do so, we can use this time for him to do so. But then tomorrow we continue.
Yes.
Then with the properties after you have had a chance to read, and depending what time we finish, then Ms. Ngoye and Mr. Holele could also come in.
Chairperson, may I ask, and I'm asking this during a hearing, during part of the hearing, from Mr. Montana's evidence today, what he read out this morning, it does not appear when one looks at the documents I want to show him. For example, when one looks at the payments that Mr. van der Walt refers to, there doesn't seem to be much dispute about that. If I could just, and I'm saying this for Mr. Montana's benefit, but also for your guidance, and asking for your guidance.
Mm.
If Mr. Montana can look at
the transaction,
all the annexures to Mr. Alleman's affidavit, he needn't his report. He needn't concern himself with the report.
Yeah.
For example, if I could just say, with regard to the waterproof property, Ms. Sally De Beer has an affidavit which is annexed. And he can just tell us which parts of the affidavit he disagrees with. So it will
shorten,
expedite the hearing itself.
Then we can focus on those issues that are issues.
So I don't have to put each of the matters to him. And for example, there were an exchange in regard to the Sandhurst property. There was an exchange of emails between him and the Kohler's, which is referred to. And there are agreements in regard to those properties which concerned Mr. Montana or his trust, but which then fell by the wayside and were effectively taken over by Precise Trade. All that we want from Mr. Montana is, yes, this happened, Precise Trade took over because of these reasons. That's if he agrees with what's contained in the annexures. It would certainly save time in that regard.
Okay, so there are two ways of doing it, Mr. Montana. The one that Mr. Soni is proposing is this, that if you already have had time to apply your mind to all of those, you might be able to say, I don't have any issues with this one, that one, and that one. This is where I have issues only, so then we can focus on that. That's if you have not had time to apply your mind to them. We could have a situation where maybe when you come back tomorrow, you have applied your mind and you are able to say, there are no issues on these ones. This is where the issues are, as far as I'm concerned. What do you think of that?
No, Chair, I'll take the, again, Chair, let
Yeah.
me repeat, I'm here to assist the commission.
Yes, yeah.
To get the information, but also to put my version on the table.
Yeah.
So I think I'll be willing to take the route
Yeah.
that Mr. Soni had proposed.
Yeah.
And comment on those because I've looked at them.
Okay.
I've looked at them, Chair.
Oh, so you would be able to comment?
No, Chair,
like
I'll do it
today.
right away, Chair.
Excellent. Then in that event, we should at least do that part.
Yes.
And then what will remain can then be dealt with tomorrow, but that part can be done.
Yes.
Okay, let's do that then. That's fine. Mr. Montana, do you want to?
Should I proceed, Chair?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Let me start first with how most of these affidavits, of course, have come about and all of those things, Chair. You recall that some of them were filed in the Siangena matter. Let me just put on record, Chair, because I did approach some of the people and ask them that on what basis did you file this affidavit? Well, I understand with the commission, but I'm referring to before they reach here, Chair. People were told and they were threatened, Chair. I asked Mr. Louis Green, can you tell me about your affidavit because I'm going to take you to court? And he says, no, but you are sent copies of the interactions, of emails that were there. That's why I'm referring to them, Chair, that they should also be here. But they were used there. And people were told by Mr. O'Sullivan at that time, Chair, that is part of the hoax. And if they do not file these affidavits against me, they'll be arrested, Chair. And so people were threatened. Now, and that is why, Chair, I'm emphasizing that the commission can work on the basis of something that they've been obtained illegally. But I'm not afraid to get into the issues, Chair, and let me deal with the three affidavits, because in essence, Chair, what I'm saying to the commission, the big issue I'm saying, that I confirm that I've had a relationship with Mr. Rian van der Waal. I think that the first annexure that you've taken, in fact, he talks about the partnership between myself and Rian van der Waal. That's the first issue I'm making them. The second issue, Chair, that so you can see even the press statement that I made in 2016. I made a press statement. I said, no, I'm working with this man. So there's no issue there, and I don't want to do that. The second issue, Chair, that I've always said, I've always rejected, of course, the relationship. I think that they said there must be an inference. Can we draw a link? Okay? I said there's no link. Other people say there's a link. And I've asked, Chair, I've seen, not the commission, but some of the numbers were sent to me at the time when Mr. O'Sullivan lay a complaint at the Brooklyn police station. Now, the numbers, they deal with the numbers there. But then I checked this thing. Of course, it doesn't deal with me. It deals with the relationship like Robert Nittling has done between their relationship on the different properties. And I said, give me the numbers precise, like Montana had a relationship with Precise Trade. And this relationship speaks to the development of properties, but nothing to do with anything. Chedi, I don't want to take issues with Ms. De Beer, but I think she didn't assist the commission, Chair. The reason why we had the ups and downs about how do we buy the properties, because I'm the first one. We had agreed after, you remember, Chair, we don't make an offer for a property. We realized that the property has got business rights. In fact, I think that the agent who spoke to me told me at length about some of the bookings, for example. I think he mentioned one of the embassies, that sometimes we have a booking tool list because Mrs. De Beer was not living in the house. It was used as a guest house. Chair. So this was a guest house. It had business rights, located and in waterproof, Chair, with embassies. You have business all the way. That is our interest in that business. Now, the first time, Chair, I dealt with this property was the fact that in Rose Street, she wanted 11 million rand. I've made an offer of 11 million rand, Chair, or 11.5. There was no issue at that time. Not to her, to her agent. I didn't know her. She didn't know me, Chair. Some of the things that she spoke about here, that the commission was leading her on. I mean, they're so petty. They don't speak to the real issue. Why didn't I buy the property, Chair? There's one reason. The bank came back to me and said in the evaluation of that property, the property is valued at 7 million rand. Remember, I wanted it for business. Okay? And I said, I'll use there's what is called minor property trust. I said, no, it's fine. My participation in that project will be through my children's trust. I see, Chair, that in some of this, they say I paid 3 million. Never paid any cent in the property. The bank rejected. And she doesn't tell it, but we said the property is very important. The development and the opportunities that is there, huge. At the end, then I said, look, Rian can buy the property, Chair, and we'll get the thing. So it's not my property. She spoke here about, I saw Montana in the last days to come and fetch the keys. So all of those things happened. There's no issue there. The issue is that she says, and Mr. Oleman in his affidavit, in his testimony here, he says, I got the impression, Chair. Sometimes when I and you get your own impression. She gets an impression that it is Montana's property. And she's got the right to say that. But she doesn't know the factual basis there. There's no factual basis. Because I've seen Mr. Montana. She wasn't there when, by the way, I went with Mr. Rian van der Walt to her own property. Because I've been there twice or thrice. Before even just to get the details about the property and what opportunities, which embassies book in there, and all of those things there. Okay? So it was business. I was doing business, Chair. But when the bank said to me, we can't finance it, Mrs. De Beer was angry. Okay? And that is why Rian and I had to discuss. Even if the bank doesn't want, so for me, of course, I'm using a facility. For her, he's involved in other things. He says, no, it's fine. I'll take the property and I'll raise the money for this particular property. So he then spoke. And Chair, one of the key things that I think we never explored, Mr. Sony, in great length is the partner to Mr. van der Walt, his testimony. You see, it's very important that we know what is it that we want to take from an affidavit. What message is coming out of there? What he was saying, two things from what I can gather, and I listened to his testimony and I've read his affidavit. Two things are very clear, Chair. The first one is clear that they were unhappy with the fact that Mr. van der Walt had, and he said it actually very clearly, had other business interests outside of the firm which he didn't agree with them as partners. And they only learned, for example, when he was transferring some of the properties, he then used the law firm, even though the relationship was not. So they had a problem with that. And the problem arises from questions asked by the media. That is why they ask him that question. But the second point he makes, which is very important, and I love it, Chair, in the way that I like the Andre Wagner's affidavit, Mr. Soni. He's basically saying that in precise trade, Mr. van der Walt had other partners or investors into that business. Okay? The allegation, they're trying to say, no, these are Montana's properties. I've confirmed in black and white that no, I played a part in us identifying those opportunities. It doesn't make those my properties. The properties that are my properties are registered in my name. For example, if you look at the property in Hurlingham, it's registered in my name. The bulk of the money didn't even come from me, Chair, because I had to find an investor. And that is why Mr. Louis Green, in his testimony here, he said something very important. And I think you and Mr. Soni hammered him. But he made a fundamental point which I want to bring, Chair. And I was so happy because I think it was courageous, Chair. You try to probe this thing. And he made an important, it is not unusual. He made that point, Chair. It is not unusual that Montana can arrive, identify a property, and when we register it, because it has to do with where the money is and how do you find the money, Chair. In Pedi, they say, Chair, these people who didn't investigate, because they were targeting me. So they just wanted to make sure that no, he says guilty as charged and not looking at the details. Now, Chair, one of the key things, the proponents of state capture, you know, I love them, Chair, these people. They say, you must follow the money. Chair, but Mr. Oleman said he went to the property in Sandhurst. And it seems there are people there. After hearing that, Chair, I called and said, who lives there? And the property has been rented out to somebody by Mr. van der Walt. Okay? The most next logical step is that this rental income, where does it go to? Because it will tell you who's the real owner of the property. They don't do that. They jump that point. Okay? They jump that point, Chair, because it doesn't assist what they're trying to get to, that he's guilty as charged. If you look at the Chair, going back to the Waterkloof property, then she was angry and she said, terminate this relationship. Mrs. De Beer, when I think there was a guy, if I remember very well, his name is Daniel, an agent. Daniel went back to him and said, no, he took my offer, not Rian's offer, my offer. I said, no, look, let me put an offer and I'll go to the bank. The bank sent a team for valuation. They said, no, that property. But of course, the bank was wrong. She was right to be angry. Of course, she shouldn't have been angry with me. But with the bank, because the bank, they were looking at this building, but they were not looking at the income generation in that particular building. So they undervalued the property. She was angry. It was the time, Chair, that I first made contact with that property. And we agreed with Rian, and I said, no, let's find a way. Let's get money for me to get the bank's amount, or rather valuation, and get an additional 3.5. And I said to Rian, will you then lend me the 3.5 so that I can then say to the bank, don't give me for 11 million, just give me for 7 million in line with the valuation. And then I'll put the additional money in the Chair. Of course, we realized it will not work. I think the bank didn't have an appetite for that. And then that's why, Chair, we said, look, this presents a lot of opportunities. It's in Waterkloof, embassies are keen on doing that, and it's got business rights already. So, Chair, that's what it is. Now, Mrs. De Beer, as I said, Chair, she talks about in her affidavit real small things. She doesn't know the relationship between Lucky Montana and Mr. Rian van der Walt. She doesn't know how these things are funded. So I'm surprised that the commission would bring Ms. De Beer here, who actually doesn't add value to this commission, and leave out Mr. Andrew Wagner. I know, Chair, you've explained the thing. I'm not opening that. I'm just simply saying that she doesn't know. Chair, Yet she talks about something she doesn't know. She doesn't know, she knows nothing about the matter, how the nature of the relationship with Rian. And that is why Rian then said, no, I'll deal with that and I'll raise the money and I'll take it under precise trade so that that opportunity is not lost, Chair. That's the most important thing. That's how we involved in business we do, Chair. Because it's very strategic from where it is in Waterkloof. And Chair, when the first people to break that house, to start the work, Rian asked me. And I went to fetch people from Mamelodi and say, no, break this property. So the things, the details that are detailed there, they are true, but they're not telling the commission the story because she doesn't know, she's incapable of doing that. And that is why when people beat up drums, you want to fetch the keys and everything. But how is the property financed? Because that's what it tells us. If you say Sandhurst, yes, Chair, even the Sandhurst property was playing a major role. So I don't, whatever they say, it doesn't tell the commission anything. It's a story. What you must tell is tell us about the money. You'll actually see that Montana is not involved in that. You'll actually see from my first annexure, say, Rian is saying, pay me. And we met, I said, 1.3. I said, no, but if we calculate, in fact, I should be getting more money. Because partners do that all the time, Chair. If you look at Harlingham property, they issued, what is it called, midterm brace. Rian was not involved except that, Chair, as a lawyer, we asked him to put the deal for us, for me and Mr. Andre Wagner. I asked him to put the money there for me. Mr. Wagner brought in the other money. The other difference was money for development, Chair. Now, the development didn't happen. And it didn't happen because then I couldn't bring the other 9.5 million rands for development, the 10 million that I spoke about from FNB, that I said I want to apply, and they told me, you are politically exposed, you're not going to consider you are extending any facility to you. This is FNB. I thought I would win because the lady who was, as I explained earlier, who did my properties at APSA from Tiger Vale in Cape Town, she had moved here and she told me, I said, I want to do business with you. That's the property that I went first to. I actually asked Chair from the bank, can you give me my application so that I can attach it here? Unfortunately, they said, no, we didn't. It was declined. Once credit didn't accept it, we're not keeping those documents. So because we're not having anything in that respect. They took me to court, Chair. And you see the letters I've attached, there's been to and from until they issued summonses against me. Midtown brace. Ultimately, we then agreed in response to let's sell the property and that you get what you get and I get something out of that because we both put money into this property. We then took and that is why you'll see one of the things I've attached is what we call the power of attorney. I then had to sign a power of attorney to Midtown brace so that they run an auction. They ran an auction, Chair. And the prices were ridiculous. And you'll see there, we said, no, let's not even accept it. Okay? Now, my documents, Chair, confirm the affidavit of Mr. Andre Wagner. He's directly involved. He put his own money into this thing. So he knows the story. But when you compare to Mrs. De Beer, I think, Chair, she wanted to... I was irritated with her, not angry, irritated. Because, and you could see that she wanted to talk about what car Mr. Montana drove and everything to convey a picture of a corrupt man. Okay? What I came out there, she's not focusing on the issue that I want to buy a property because we want to do business there, Chair. So her affidavit, we can go, my view is that I'm not even denying anything there. There's nothing to define, to deny. The affidavit tells the commission nothing about the nature of the deal. It says, I saw Mr. Montana, he was wearing this, he was driving this car, but Ms. De Beer only saw me, Chair, towards the end, after all of those things. And as you can see, Chair, with the partner to Mrs. Rian van der Waal. He's basically telling this commission that in fact, Precise, whilst Rian was the sole owner and director, in all these dealings it had investors, which means people that he was borrowing money from to finance all the different things. And that is why, Chair, I think from the information I picked up, we've had the liquidation of Sefam, the liquidators of Sefambo here. Let's get the liquidators there and see who did they speak to as the people who lend money there. You'll actually be surprised, Chair. These are not the people that are mentioned in the newspapers. Because people know they're not interested in the truth, Chair. So the long and short of it, Chair, when you talk about Mrs. De Beer, she was, I don't know whether, I think at that time, Chair, she's been probably told and primed on what to say, or it was just an absolute issue of racism. I'm not saying, but perhaps, Chair, fascinated by this black man who wants to buy a property of 11 million, who's driving this kind of a car and all of those things. Chair, there was nothing unlawful or irregularly. People are taking this in too far because they're trying to say, Rian, if Rian was the owner or shareholder of Siangena out here, I would understand. He's there. He's got nothing to do with Siangena. This man tells us now if the allegation was that no, and as I think Mr. Oleman in fact said it during his testimony. He said, Chair, the owners from which these properties were bought had an understanding that the properties were bought by Mr. Montana. I was a player into all of those things. But the fact that I ultimately didn't buy the property tells you that there's a story. So I was not using Rian to buy properties. Then if the properties owned by Precise are my properties, what is the status of the lenders to Precise or to Rian? I don't even know them, Chair. I was saying I saw their names for the first time when this affidavit was deposited. Would they take a risk of putting money into Precise to somebody that they don't know? And I think, Chair, that you can see that what Mrs. De Pierre was saying. Of course, it is up to the commission to evaluate the evidence. But did he tell you about the nature of Mr. Montana's property dealings? No, she can only describe certain parts when she saw me and to want to present. So what does it matter that I'm wearing a pink shirt? Tell us to say, no, I think if you believe that Mr. Montana is involved in corrupt activities and is buying properties, say it. She doesn't say it, Chair. I mean, from 2016, I've been very clear. I've worked with Rian. He's a good man. He's a good businessman, Chair.
Yeah.
Chair, let me make the last one with regard to Louis Green.
Yes.
Because
okay.
that is also attached.
Yes. Okay.
Or rather, two short points, Chair, because I want to finish with the financials here.
Yes, because I wanted to say to you, what you have been telling me, it's fine and it's important in terms of it being part of your answer to the allegations. But I think Mr. Soni had in mind that you could clear up in terms of saying, in terms of these bank statements and so on, I have got no issues with everything. These are the only things you have issues with, so that we get that out of the way. But in terms of what you're finishing your part of the story, that's fine, subject to the understanding that on properties we will still deal with it.
No, Chair. I'm more than happy.
Yes,
I'll stay at this commission for as long as you want me to answer those questions. If the commission get other information and say, Montana, tomorrow wake up and come here, I'll be here, Chair. That I'll give you my assurance. Because I've got nothing to hide or to fear, Chair.
Yes.
Chair, Mr. Green.
Okay, you said you want to make 2 points.
2 points.
We can then have clarity on the bank statements.
Yeah, I want to make one and then deal with the bank statement.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Louis Green. I think, Chair, Mr. Louis Green, Mr. Andrew Wagner, their statements, and I think that they're good, because Mr. Louis Green said, you ask him a specific question, and he said, when you ask him when Rian van der Waal wrote an email and said, don't get involved, don't copy Mr. Montana. And Mr. van der Waal, Mr. Louis Green, unlike Mrs. De Beer, he says, look, Mr. Montana came, he was coming to look at the property, and I was not looking at that property, I was looking at a different property. And he says something very important at the end. He was assisting the commission about what they do as estate agents, the kind of transactions they get involved in. And he said one important point. I do not know the nature, he said, I didn't know. Because you ask him, why did you respond in that way? Why did you accept? He says, because I didn't know the nature of the relationship between Mr. Montana and Mr. van der Waal. Now, that's an honorable man, Chair. He doesn't describe things that he doesn't know. And I think, Chair, that is why there's been a lot of speculations, but the people who have driven this property story, are people who are conflicted, Chair. I've described some of them in the morning. And I think, Chair, if you look at my statement, also put as part of the annexure, my statement in response, because the first time I heard this thing, by the way, was when Mr. Molefe had filed a deposed to an affidavit, Chair, on the Siangela matter. And one of the journalists, I think, wrote about it, I think it was Peter Louis Mabek, and I got a call that, did you see that you were involved? And I said, I look at that, and I had a press conference, and I dealt with those issues that I said, look, there's no basis to all of these things. And I thought by that press conference, Chair, I would have done enough to dispel the things. It was well covered in the SABC, but when the matter continued, Popo Molefe then continued making this. So I decided that I want to come into the Siangela matter, because I was upset that my name was being mentioned, but I was not cited as a respondent. So I'm being brushed and then left aside. So my statement dealt with it at Lancashire. And then my full record, my full thing is captured, Chair, in the statement that we've put in, but we said we'll only admit it once it's been read. I've accepted that. So let's deal with the monies. You know, the flow of, they say follow the money. But it's follow the money where it suits us, where it doesn't suit us. We then abandon that. You see, Chair, when Rian, and I think I want to link this to the first annexure that I submitted on properties. And I think there's a slight disjuncture between what he's saying to his partners and my discussions with him. Because if you look at those amounts, he says, you owe me 1.3 million. He says that. It's in that annexure.
You're talking about Exhibit SS 18B1.
Yes, that email, Chair, that's correct.
Letter that was terminating the relationship, is that right?
Indeed, Chair.
Yes.
He then mentioned that amount. And my understanding...
Well, that letter says, I've noted the contents of your mail below and confirmed the following as the director and shareholder of Precise Trade and Investment. 1, I'm prepared to agree that the loan of 1.3 million plus interest must be repaid by no later than 31 December 2015 or even 31 January 2016. That's the 1.3 you're talking about.
That's what I'm referring to, Chair.
Okay.
Now, you see in that law, in that, Chair, he's referring to 1.3. Now, there's an issue about the relationship between the numbers that are mentioned here. You remember here, Chair, we are dealing with two things. We are not dealing with money that came to me. We are dealing with, it's quite clear to me that what Mr. van der Waal was doing with all the people he was involved with, it was like some kind of a rotating fund, which he gives to Montana here, he gives to Zondo, he got Zondo to pay this, and all of those things. His notes say that, and I've confirmed that with him, Chair. Now, I've asked that can we deal with Montana's, statement, especially the flow of money between Precise Trade and Montana. What have been presented here, Chair, we are dealing with what Robert deals with their relationship in respect. It doesn't deal with Precise Trade.
Okay, I want to stop you there. Mr. Soni, I think it is going to be better to do it the usual way.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's going to be better for Mr. Soni to take you through the transactions.
Okay.
So that for purposes of simply saying, I have no issue with this transaction, yes, I have no issue with the fact that so much appeared to have gone from that account to that account, or maybe that it was in connection with the particular property, or whatever you want to say. And then when we deal with when we have read your affidavit in Siangena, then whatever else you want to say to complete the picture in relation to properties, you can then deal with. But we can put aside and have a clear picture on where the issues are on the payments. I think one of the points you are making is that a lot of the payments, maybe you say all of them, but a lot of the payments that are dealt with were not payments that were coming to you. I think that's one of the points you make. Is that right?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah.
But the bigger issue I'm saying,
Yeah.
we are dealing with Mr. Rian's account,
Yeah.
not my account.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, the only thing I can do,
Yeah.
and that is why I said earlier on to Mr. Soni,
Yeah.
a three-way match is going to be very important.
Yeah.
Because currently I'm supposed to confirm statements which have even a whole range of other transactions.
Yeah.
So I can only note, Chair.
Yeah.
I can only note, and that is why I'm asking the Commission.
Yes.
Let us ask APSA to give us my statement for the
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Then we can compare, Chair, because, and you can see, Chair, you've got a statement that says Montana.
Yeah.
And then below it says 400, it says TLM. So if somebody's using Montana as his reference, why would you use TLM? And I thought I'm the only one, Chair, by the way, who uses the reference TLM to capture. And you can see even in how I've marked my documents. So Chair, you, in real times, I can note, but I can't assist the Commission specifically on those. The only person who can assist that Commission is not even Robert.
Yeah.
It's Mr. van der Walt.
Yes.
Because he can say, tell us, what did you mean there? Or else all of us are left in the realm of what is it called, of speculation. And Chair, I can only note them.
Yeah.
But I can't speak,
yes.
unless if the Commission says, in your bank statement, Mr. Montana, we see 400,000.
Yeah.
It came from, can you confirm that?
Yeah.
Now, then we are having that. But I'm being asked about somebody, and this, can you see, Chair, the ups and downs in that account?
Yeah.
It's not my account.
Yeah.
He's the one, they say he gave it, he's written notes.
Yeah.
And I see, for example, Chair, that when PRASA went to court, one of the things they were trying to do, they were trying to take the notes and said, this notes means the money came from TMM. Then I asked Rian, did they come from TMM? He says, no. It tells me how I'm using the money into that. And Chair, when I looked at the affidavit of Siangena, by the way, including the affidavit that I think has been read, I'm referring to the affidavit that has been read earlier by the CFO.
to whoever or from somebody to Precise Trade, if you put those series of propositions based on what is reflected on the bank statements, maybe even without going through each one, Mr. Montana can say, well, I have no problem with all of those propositions because my point is simply this. Then maybe it might be faster. I'm just thinking you might have a different way. I'm easy. I just want to see how we can do it expeditiously.
And Chairperson, I don't want us to run into difficulties. What we have is a statement, well, a letter from Mr. van der Walt, who is asked, tell us about the Parkwood property. He says it was bought for 6.8 million rand, and these are the payments I made. Now, he doesn't say he made the payments to Mr. Montana. What he says is, here's the bank statement, and in the bank statement you see a correlation between what he says in his letter and what is reflected in the bank statement. Now, the difficulty we have is that when he says TLM or Mr. Montana, reading it with the letter of the 28th of January 2016, we say that that is a payment made in respect of his indebtedness to Montana. Doesn't mean that he paid it directly to Mr. Montana. Now, of course, we're now in this difficult situation because Mr. Montana's point is, well, I don't know about those. It may have my name, but I can't confirm this. Now, in a sense, Chairperson, we are running around in circles because instead of Mr. Montana saying, because, and this is an issue, and I'm going to put it to Mr. Montana in a moment. I buy something from, well, Mr. van der Walt buys a property worth 6.8 million rand from Mr. Montana. He says, I made these payments. Now, that's Mr. Montana's property. He must know if those payments were made or not, whether it was made to him or to somebody else, because they are payments due in terms of the agreement which we've already looked at. So, but that's a proposition I'm going to put, and that's as far as we can take it.
That's fine. I think you deal with it the way you are happy to deal with it. From your side, Mr. Montana, when he puts any proposition or question, if you are able to answer because you do have knowledge, you answer. If you say, I don't know because it's somebody else's account, that you say you don't know, and we can move on.
Chair, can I say, can I say something? I don't think we are far apart, Chair.
Yes, no, I also don't think
I think we're in agreement.
Yes,
remember when I came in the morning, when I came here, Chair, I wanted to demonstrate one fundamental thing. The story that Siangena or Van der Walt bought properties for me is false. And Chair, I went through each properties and showed how much money I have. That's the first thing I wanted to do. Secondly, Chair, I'm confirming. I also confirmed to the Commission, Mr. Soni, that myself and Rian were partners. So I'm not saying, Chair, that I'm denying even the fact that I may have said transferred 100,000 to pay somebody. That's not what I'm saying, Chair. I'm simply saying here, you are putting me in a difficult, because you're not dealing with my statements. You are dealing with a statement of somebody involved. Where I say, for example, I said on the 2.2 million that Mr. van der Walt paid. I said, I think he may have been either settling the bond facility, or he may have been paying the property for the property in Waterkloof on my behalf. That I accept, Chair. But I'm saying the difficulty I have is that we're going to see 300 million. The other one says Montana. So this is reference. And then the other one says TLM. It's not I don't know, because I didn't know how Rian, for example, was mobilizing his own money to be involved with me and even other people, Chair. That's the issue. And so I'm saying that it's becoming unfair. But I think to be fair to the commission, let's go through that process, Chair. And if I don't know,
I was.
But if the commission can hold that against me and say, because if the commission wants to hold it against me, they say, no, Mr. Montana, here's your statement, Chair. Rian and I had a relationship. It involved money, it involved properties, Chair. But this had nothing to do. The issue here is that I've said, they said, this report and many other allegations, Montana didn't even have a cent. We bought Siangana bought properties for him, Chair. And that is I'm here to talk about that, Chair. And to demonstrate that it is so false, it doesn't have a basis. And secondly, that I've never hidden my relationship, because Rian has got nothing to do with Siangana or tenders at PRASA. He's a lawyer on the side, and I don't want to be persecuted on the basis of association with him because he happened to know so and so, Chair. Now, finally, on this statement, Chair, I think Mr. Soni should take me through. But he cannot expect me to know another man's account, Chair.
No. Where he has issues with you saying you don't know because he thinks you know, he will put that to you.
No, Chair, I'm more than happy. I think let's do that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right.
If I recall, we were at 2.2.4 of page 198.
I'm sorry, Mr. Soni. I say we're at 5 to 5.
Yes.
I think we should just take an adjournment, 10 minutes adjournment.
Yes.
Chairperson,
while the proceedings were going on, there is something that occurred to me, that if we go on late into the evening today, it's going to be impossible for me meaningfully to deal with these matters.
I agree. I didn't realize that we are already close to 5.
Yes.
I thought we were still close to 4.
Yes.
I was thinking that maybe we should go up to 6, but it may well be, I think I can be guided by you because that may be a lot of reading to do. It may be that we should stop so that there is enough time to read. It may be that we should go maybe up to 6. What is your sense? Because there is the reading as well.
Chairperson, there may be things in the affidavit. And I haven't seen the annexures yet. So it's going to be another issue.
Maybe it's better we adjourn.
Yes. And I just don't know how to, because we need to make copies as well.
So maybe it's convenient that we should adjourn, and then tomorrow start at a little earlier, 9:30. I don't know. What is your sense?
No. The problem, though, Chairperson, is that we would have to make copies this evening so that we are able to deal meaningfully with what's contained in these affidavits.
Yes, no, what I mean is in terms of whether we adjourn now or later.
I think we should adjourn now, Chairperson, because this is going to go into...
Yes. Mr. Montana, you have given us a lot of paperwork that must be read.
Well, I was willing to go till
12 midnight.
They said the meeting with the president went till 2 a.m. So, no, Chair, it's fine. Okay. I think I'll be here tomorrow. It's fine, Chair.
Yes. Should we start? Should we stick to 10 or do 9:30? But sometimes we start at 9:30, like we did, I think, on Friday. But I ended up needing to have a longer lunch because there were some things that needed my attention. What is your
Chairperson,
sense?
In view of the reading, we have as much time that we have to prepare.
Yeah.
Would be appreciated.
Then let's start at normal time, 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Are you starting with me or with the PRASA people and then I come afternoon, Chair?
My sense is that we should start with you. I don't know, Mr. Sonny. Yeah, let's start with you. We continue and try and finish with you. I would like to finish with your evidence.
Thank you, Chair.
Tomorrow, if we can.
That is in respect of properties, Chair.
Well, in respect of everything. But if we don't achieve that, despite our best efforts, we'll take it from there to see what can be done. As I say, I do have my schedule of hearings and witnesses up to end of May is almost full. Actually, it's full. But let's see how far we can go. And we do our best efforts. But if we come to the end of and I do have an evening session tomorrow. Yep. So if we come to 5 o'clock, we see that we are not done and we have done the best we can, we'll take it from there.
No, Chair, I'm happy with that, except that I kept on reminding the team.
Yes.
Tomorrow will be my 6th day, Chair, here.
Yeah.
And in all of them, I've been responding to allegations made against me.
Yeah.
And I've been asking the team, when will I have the time to tell my own story?
Yeah.
Because I've been replying, Chair, I've been responding.
Yeah.
So as long as the commission takes that, keep that at the back of its mind, I have to tell my own story and my affidavit, Chair. I'm more than happy.
No, that's fine. You will remember that earlier this afternoon, I said if we park the properties issue, I could give you a chance to deal with whatever issues that you have been asked that you feel you haven't given a full answer or so
Thank you,
I take that into account.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Okay, let's adjourn for today. There will be no evening session this evening. We'll resume at 10 tomorrow morning. We adjourn.